Welcome to Mountaineer Football Tonight, the weekly coaches show for Kings Mountain High School, brought to you by KMHS Sports and the Kings Mountain Touchdown Club.
Good evening, Mountaineer fans. Welcome to the Mountaineer Football Coaches Show. With me, as always, is Drew Fulton behind the controls and Coach Herron here to my right. We're glad you're with us. Hope we've got more on with us tonight since we've got a shortened week. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But for right now, we'll go to a sponsor break, and after that, we'll see the highlights of the big win versus South Point. Once we're coming back from that, we'll get into our show with Coach Herron. Be right back.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home, Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. Hope you enjoyed those highlights. Thank you, Jeff Johnson, for putting those together for us each week. We'll get right into it. Coach, good to see you again.
Sir, good to see you.
Welcome back. Coach Herron here with me. Coach, we're going to talk about the South Point game. Obviously, we've been talking about it off air. We'll get to some of that in a minute. Again, 2 big wins again last week, varsity and JV. You got to be pleased with the progress of both teams in the program, of where they are. Before we get to the game, there's 2 things we're going to talk about. Because I can tell you from sitting in the stands Friday night, like I told you off air, I didn't do the audio broadcast. I sat down because I wanted to be able to watch Gabe field level. Please explain the penalty that everybody in the stands thought they got 6 downs, including me, because of the way he threw the flag late, and he threw it on the line of scrimmage when the play was going on. I thought they were going to call assisting the runner, is what I thought, okay? Right. That's the first thing I want you to talk about. And then I want you to talk about the fake punt. And then we're going to get into the game. So let's do the penalty first and explain what they told you and what actually happened.
All right, so the situation was 4th and 1 from the 2.
Right.
So the ball's, they've got an opportunity to get a first down. And that is the call that was made. They called aiding the runner, which I think that rule changed, but whatever. That was the rule. That is what they told me the call was. And so, but the official said that he did not get in the end zone, so it was not a touchdown. So he said, you've got to take the penalty, because if you don't, it's going to be 1st and goal from the 1 or the half-yard line, because he got enough to get a first down. That's why we had to take the 5-yard penalty, and they ended up in a 4th and 6. So, and then I think there was another penalty after that. But
there was on us for jumping the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and then we jumped off, right.
So the question I would have then, though, if he called assisting the runner, that's an offensive penalty.
Right.
So that should not have been a first down.
Well, no, because we get a choice. We would get a choice. We can either take the play,
right.
or we got to take the penalty. And if we take the penalty, then they get the down over. So it turns into 4th and 6.
Well, we were going crazy up there.
Yeah, well, there were people on the sideline right there, and I hope I didn't offend anybody, because
I'm sure you didn't, because everybody was on your side.
Our fans were right there on the fence, and they were screaming, and I turned around and looked down and I said, y'all, I got this.
Yeah, well, we had no doubt. I mean, we were all up there pulling for you, because the thing that got me, and I've said this in all the years I've coached too. I cannot stand it. We talked about this the other week, like in the Burns game. We didn't even recognize the officials were there. And I thought Friday night they called a pretty good game.
Yeah.
But what gets me is when they make those calls at critical times. That game was still 7-7 right there.
Yes, sir.
And you had made a defensive stand, and we had stuffed them.
Right.
And then we're thinking, okay, we're about to get out of there. We got the momentum back.
Yeah.
They're killing the clock, by the way. They're watching the down clock.
Everybody does.
Which is what I'd do too,
Yep.
if I was playing us.
Yep.
But I'm thinking, my gosh, I knew our touches were going to be limited. Those things are critical.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky that it didn't. I feel good that it didn't hurt us. Even though they got us for the jump in the line, but ended up not hurting us.
Yeah.
All right, now the other one, because I told you off air, I was bragging on you in the stands. I'm not going to tell you what I said. I told you off air what I said. Some people heard what I said, but I'm not going to say it. We have a family show, so I'm not going to say exactly what I said in the stands. Lord forgive me. It wasn't dirty. It just was a little descriptive, if you know what I mean. So, Coach, tell us about the fake punt.
All right, so it started out that we didn't get lined up right, which is the easiest thing in the world. I'm telling our gunners where I want them to line up, and I was telling them, and Rob was pointing them in the other direction, and I was telling them no. So anyway, we had to call timeout just to make sure that we were set up right. So during the timeout, I brought them over and just went through everything again, and I'm sending them back on the field, and Rob looks at me and goes, Coach, can we run it if it's there? Because that's kind of an agreement that we have. It's just, coaching these guys up, and if they know it's there, they can take it. And I just said, well, Rob, what do they have on the other side? Because I knew this side wouldn't be a good side. I said, what do they have over there? And he said, just 2, which is good for us and to run it. So I said, Rob, if it's there, yes, you can run it. I said, but man, be careful. So he jogs back out on the field, and the whole time he's going, it's running through my mind, man, if we give them the ball right here, I'm going to look like the dumbest guy in the world. So I scream out there to him, and you can hear me. I'm going, Rob, Rob, Rob. And Rob turns and looks at me, and I start shaking my head. That's all I do. It's like, don't do it. You know, I didn't say anything. I just shook my head. Rob looked at me, turned around, took the snap, and off he ran. So
you look like a genius now.
Now I look like a genius.
I interviewed the long snapper.
Yes.
And I asked the long snapper, I said, Coach Herron call that? He said, no, Dad. He said, we did it. I said, you've got to be kidding me.
Nope.
He said, no, we did. He said, all I was thinking, I got to get this snap to him, or it's got to be a good snap, and it worked. Mm-hmm. The next day, we were watching the film. He was showing me the film on his phone, and I mean, it worked. But I will say, South Point,
there was a guy there.
A guy there too. There
was a guy there. So he got through it, and which was good. I mean, the way that they were aligned right there, it would. If we block it right and we get guys on guys where they're supposed to be, it should have been just like the one in Shelby. He should have came through there clean, but we let one guy get off of us, and so but Rob's good to break at least one now. So
well, I tell you, Gabriel told me that we didn't punt much, but that the few times we punted, they were yelling, watch the fake, watch the fake. And he said, I don't remember that they said it on that one.
They probably did.
He said, I don't think they thought we were doing it. And I mean, it was one of those things, Coach, it was almost like time was frozen, where as soon as it happened, I think there was a collective jaw drop in the stands, just watching it kind of, him meander down the field. But it was a great call.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to give them the ball back. I mean, that was the thing. Is in that situation, I know we were up 7, but I didn't want to give them the ball back, and it was the perfect timing where they could take it down the field to score. And then we're in overtime, and it's just so. I think that was a good call by Rob. Yeah. I mean, he did the right thing. And of course,
even though you were shaking it off,
even though I shook it off.
So offensively, they had a little bit of success. I mean, not probably like what they're used to. You spoke last week, and I saw it. They did throw the ball more than I thought, and they were typically, and you know this from going against this offense so much. Typically, they run those little hot routes, or they'll run a seam route or something. I mean, they were doing they did a couple extra little things, like they were in trips one time. That's something that I've not really seen out of them. I know you guys had, of course, because of the film. But I thought, even with that, the defense played extremely well.
I did.
And assignment football is what is critical in the triple option.
Yep.
Our offense, of course, the ground game looked good. I'm going to let you talk about that. Our passing offense stepped up big for us when we needed it.
Yeah.
I thought Zolo threw several good balls. We talked about Gash a minute ago on the highlight video. He made a great play.
Great play.
That pass play was another critical point. I think it helped us extend a drive.
Yeah.
A big one. We needed it. Special teams did well. One of the things that comes to mind is when the kickoff return, and my man Rom just stuck out there like a fence post and just stopped the guy. Because I'm going to tell you, had he not made that play,
he's gone.
He's gone.
Right. And Rom, he's never been put in that situation before, and so to be honest with you, I wouldn't know what he would do. And you watch it on film, and I'm sure they're watching it going, wow, he got ran over, but he just stuck it in there and slowed him down enough to let the cavalry get there.
Help's coming.
And that's what we needed. So he did a great job. That was a saver. I mean,
you're darn right.
We call that an Alamo tackle on the production sheet. So he gets an Alamo for that. So
I'm gonna get you to do the takeaways in a minute, like I always do. Talk a little bit, Coach, about the offense, like what you saw, and to say their offense and our defense. Like, we'll do that one first.
Okay. Well, we did a good job. We have, you have to have a responsibility gap control defense against that offense, and we did a good job. Coach Carroll was upset. He told me as soon as he watched the film that, man, he said 3 plays. There's 3 plays. If our guys are in the right place, we shut them out, you know, and that's what we want. But on some big plays that they had, there were mistakes made on defense. But it's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, against that offense, it's going to happen. If you don't, I mean, the first touchdown they scored, I mean, our defensive tackle, all he's got to do is close down. If he closes down, instead of just sticking his arm out, we at least get that guy corralled and get him on the ground. Yeah. So those are little things. And in that situation, he should have closed and he should have taken the dive, and he just didn't do it. So those are the type things. But overall, our defense did really good job. Our secondary did a good job rotating and doing those things that we asked them to do, and which is not easy. I mean, you've got a safety on half the field, and they go in motion, and we roll, and then that safety kind of becomes the middle person, but he's got to get to the backside hash. That's a long way to go, and you really have to work it. And you know, Coach had them ready, and they went out and performed real well.
I thought South Point played defensively. I thought up front they played extremely well.
Yeah,
they were causing us some issues up front, and it's not that our guys didn't play well. I just think they played well on the defensive front and really in the box. But you can speak to that if you want to, but also talk about our offensive execution.
Well, I told the team after the game, I said, man, they played lights out. I mean, they played as hard and in the spots where they are supposed to be, as good as anybody we've seen so far this year. So, you know, hats off to South Point and both sides of the ball. But defensively, they gave us some issues. I mean, our very first play, our guard pulls the kick like he's supposed to, and they're just not used to it because they hadn't seen it. And he gets what I call knee buckled. I mean, their defensive end just took him on and hit him, and he went straight to the ground. I mean, and so they played really hard. That's the tough part about playing those types of games. It was very, very physical. The good news is that we didn't flinch, we didn't break down. We just kept fighting, and that's big. But South Point did a really good job defensively of playing tough, like you said, in the box. As far as our offense is concerned, you know, running the ball is our main part. Everybody knows that, and we ran the ball well Friday night. We had some long runs. We managed the way we were supposed to manage. If we got to get 5, we got to get 5, and so I thought we did a good job of that. The biggest drawback right now is if we're going to run the ball as much as we need to run the ball, we can't have turnovers. Right. And the 2 turnovers were critical. One of them, of course, we turned it over, and then they turned it right back to us, so it didn't hurt us that bad. But we can't turn the ball over. The one, I agree with you on that. And the one was a drive killer. Obviously, we were going in to score, I think. And that would be the second one. So and it would have been back-to-back drives. And you know, you never know how that's going to affect momentum. How's it going to, you know, it get in their head? Hey, you know, man, we can't stop these guys. Right. But then again, I've seen them go against Crest over and over and over.
Sure.
And you know, that's just the way South Point kids are. They're not going to quit.
No,
they come at you.
We talked about that off air. You know, I made mention, and I said this to several fans Friday night, that I can't remember a time in all the years I've coached against South Point at both Kings Mountain and East Gaston that they have ever lost 3 conference games in a row.
Right.
And I don't know of a time, and you confirmed this, that a team has beaten them both times that they've played them at their place. Like, in other words, I know there's a gap year where you go back to your home, but you were telling me and confirming it, you know, Kings Mountain, the last 2 games they've lost there conference-wise have been to us.
That's what I was told.
And I believe that would be right.
They've been beaten in those last 3 years at their place twice, and both of them are the Kings Mountain.
That's saying a lot.
So that is saying a lot.
Yeah.
They're a very good team, very well coached team, and you know, they play extremely hard.
Yeah.
So and hard-nosed kids, which takes me back to what I was talking about earlier. It was a very physical game, which can be costly down the road.
Yes.
And I think we'll probably talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. Tell me about your takeaways from the game. 3 takeaways.
Well, I just sitting and looking, and I kind of jotted a few things down. This was our first big game, really, since the first game of the year. And so the first takeaway is, where would we be? I knew our guys wanted to play the game. They wanted to play a good, solid team like South Point. And so our guys, there was a different focus with our players. Even, I was talking to Dyron Bell before the game, and when they were coming off of the bus, and I asked Dyron, I said, man, what was the ride over like? And Dyron said, I've never seen them this focused before. He said they didn't say a word. So that's a great sign.
Sure.
I mean, it shows maturity, that they understand that the mental part of the game is just as important as the physical part. So that's my first takeaway is arriving at the game and the guys just being focused and ready to play. The second part is what we just talked about. The second takeaway would be playing a physical game. I mean, a hard-nosed, hard-fought physical game. What would happen to us, how we would stand up to it. And then, throughout the game, we didn't have anybody laying down. We didn't have anybody saying, hey, man, I'm hurt, I can't go. And they just kept fighting and kept fighting and kept fighting. Now, after the game was over, that's a different story. But it's a good sign. I mean, that our guys they stood up to the challenge. I mean, it was going to be tough, and they stood up to the challenge. So playing a physical game would be takeaway number 2. Our guys did a great job with that, and we knew. I know up front our guys are physical. I wanted to see it go on for 4 quarters,
yes,
and I think they did that. And then the third takeaway is special teams. Special teams matters, and we blocked 2 kicks. They have a very good kicker,
yes,
and blocked 2 field goals, and then of course the fake punt. The special team, and then even though the kickoff return is not what we want, getting out there in the middle of the field, we had Matt or somebody step up and make a play where they need to. So the third takeaway is special teams matters. It's not, we've got to get better at them, and we've done that this week. We've really focused a lot on getting better. We did some last week and this week, and that's where we've got to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's constantly evolving.
Always.
And that's, you have to work at it. Like I said, we've talked about before, if you're satisfied with where you are, it develops complacency.
That's right.
You never be satisfied.
That's right.
You lose your hunger.
Yep.
And if you do, then you're
going backwards.
Yes,
you're going backwards.
Yourself.
Yeah.
So again, Coach, 2 big wins in a very tough environment Friday night. They were fighting for their lives, playoff-wise, and trying to stay near the top of the conference. But we were able to go in and win. Lineberger Stadium is a tough place to play. I did tell you though, I saw you walking down the sideline. You had a bottled Sun Drop. Now I know Diet Sun Drop. One of our fans gave it to you because
sure did.
She, Miss Boland, she yelled at me across the stands and said she'd gotten you one, and I said I knew you was happy. And I will admit what I did when I first got there. I went down and got me a chicken sandwich, and I bought 2.
There you go.
So I want to make sure I took it. I wasn't going to go back down there again. But yeah, that's a good thing about going there. But
that was a great surprise.
Yeah. So two big wins, big win at Lineberger. So that's great. So we are still undefeated in the conference, undefeated on the season, and happy to get out of there with a win. We'll go into a sponsor break, and when we come back, we'll talk with Coach about the Stuart Kramer game that has been moved up to tomorrow. So hang with us. We'll be right back.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back. Before I go to the Stuart Kramer game, Drew just scolded me. Our concession stand also has Diet Sun Drop and Sun Drop products, but as you can see by the display on the table, this one didn't come from South Point. This one came from the Pilot Market in Grover and Blacksburg. That one came from the concession stand, so kudos to you. No?
That came out of my office.
Came out of Coach's office.
Yeah, that came out of my office.
Coach, you slipping a little bit. You've been having bottles.
I know, but I went to Walmart.
Oh, that's all I
got a whole thing of them. Throw them in my refrigerator.
There you go. I like it.
I put water on your table.
I did see that.
Drew's trying to make us feel guilty about it, and they feel a little bit cold. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We digress.
Thank you.
Stuart Kramer week, Coach. Homecoming. I'm going to tell you something. Homecoming week is good, and it's really neat for all the festivities and everybody that gets involved. But it can be majorly distracting or a huge distraction to the players.
Yep.
A lot of things going on. Let you talk about that. But then we've moved the game. So there's a whole other, you're losing a day of preparation. So talk about what that's done, like affecting your preparations and stuff for the week.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is homecoming is like you said, it's a great thing. It's awesome for the school. It's awesome for the community. It's a necessary evil for the football.
Correct.
Coach. So this week we already knew that. I'm one of those people. If you go into the field house right now, you walk around. There's 5 game day itineraries stuck on the wall, so our players know exactly where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there.
Right.
Well, with the homecoming festivities and the parade and all that stuff, I don't know what the times are going to be, so it kind of throws us all out of whack. And I've just got a kind of an idea of where we'll be. Our guys are going to get out of school at 2:15. They'll be in the weight room for activation period. And then after activation period, we'll go ahead and start our meetings. We'll have our special teams meetings first. And then once we get done with those, then we'll jump on the trucks and go to the parade. And we get back from the parade, we'll immediately go to the pregame meal. And then we'll figure out what we need to do time-wise to get the rest of the stuff done.
Yeah.
So all of that it makes it very hectic for a football team, or at least for, I guess, OCD football coach.
I understand.
But that's just the way it is, and we got to get through it, and we will. We'll figure it out. The weather coming in on Friday, and really, I don't mind playing in the rain. I'm not one of those that runs from the rain. It doesn't matter to me. And I'll just say this as politically correct as I can. Other teams change their games, and because of other teams changing their games, I'm going to do my best to try to make it where they can't have eyes on us when we play.
Yes.
And so it was best for us to change to Thursday night, and so that's what we'll do. And all the festivities are still on plan, all planned out just exactly the way it would be if it were Friday, and then it gives us a day Friday to start getting ready for Ashbrook next week. So that's the way it works.
Have you heard yet? Aside from Crest, are the other conference games moved to tomorrow? Do you know?
I know that South Point has moved. I know that Crest has moved.
Okay. I didn't know if you'd get to go watch Ashbrook on Friday.
No,
they would, because they're playing South Point.
Right.
That's correct.
Right.
What about the JV game? Is it going to be Monday?
No, we're playing it tonight. It's
happening tonight.
It's at Stuart Cramer tonight, 7:00.
Gotcha. There you go.
Next few minutes.
So tell me, Coach, after you've seen the film on Stuart Kramer, because I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know anything about them this year. I knew about them last year because they had, from the last 2 years, they've had some really good players.
Yep.
And I don't know that they don't this year. I don't mean that in a bad way. What I'm saying is I knew about their team. I don't know anything about them this year. I'm sure a lot of our fans don't either. Give us some impressions that you see.
Well, we're trying. We're still watching, trying to figure it all out. I mean, we're ready. We've got the plan together. It's already done. But from what we can tell, based on the roster that we have, is that they've got some senior guys that play for them, and then they got a lot of sophomore guys that play with them. I don't know what happened in the junior class. Of course, they've got some junior players, but they seem heavy senior laden and sophomore laden. They've got 2, I believe they're both sophomore linebackers that they play as hard as anybody we've seen this year. So I think they've had some issues at quarterback. I think Coach Carroll has told me that I think he's seen 5 different guys play quarterback for him. So right now I think number 10 is their quarterback, and if you watch him, he's an athlete. That's, he's going. and I've won a lot of games with putting an athlete at quarterback. So they're gonna zone read you, and quarterback's gonna pull the ball and run on you, and then they're gonna drop back and try to throw it some, and so they spread the field and they do it. It fits a little bit better for us, than last week defensively, but they've got guys. They've got, and I've said this already. We've got to win the battle up front.
Sure.
If we can do that, we should be in good shape. And then their defense offensively. We're a little bit concerned because we don't know exactly what they're going to show up in. Coach Cruz, our offensive line coach, he was telling us that last year they planned for a 4-man front the whole week, and they went to the game and they were in a 3-5. So true. It's kind of a scary situation, but we've done everything that we can. We've looked at every look that we can look at, and we just got to go over there and play.
I agree, and you're going to get their best shot. Yeah. You're going to get everybody's best shot.
That's right.
But you're really going to get their best shot because they have 0 to lose and everything to gain. And so they would love nothing more than to come in here and do that. And I'm going to tell you, again, I don't know anything about the team other than what you've just said. And I know that now because you said it. But I can tell you in our recent history, this is a team that we don't play well.
Right.
And I don't know, and I'm not saying that'll happen tomorrow. What I'm getting at is I don't know if it's because we're playing South Point right before.
That's right.
That's an offense that you don't really ever see again. You could a little bit, but not much. It's a very physical game.
Yep.
And I'm not even saying we've taken Stuart Kramer lightly in the past. We're definitely not going to take him lightly tomorrow. But I can tell you in recent history, we've not played well in that game. And so I'm hoping that we block all that out. Tomorrow's a new day with the festivities going on.
Yep.
That will help us get up and do a little better. And I think we will be fine. But I also know that you've already preached to them about not going at it lightly.
Just coming off the field. I told them as soon as we finish practice this evening is everybody's going to be watching to see what you do next. After a big win, the win against South Point in the physical game, you're going to come back this week. Are you going to just try to cruise through, or are you going to are you going to try to not only just win the game but dominate, do what we're coaching you to do? And I've told these guys since back in the spring when I first got here, man, every single day you go out on the field, your job is to try to get better, just get better a little bit. And even though on a Friday night game or Thursday night in this case, we got to get better.
Right.
We don't want to go backwards. So hopefully our guys are going to take it serious and not do what you say. Just take them lightly and go out there and not do what they're supposed to do.
I think we'll be fine like that because I know they know what's at stake, and I also know. I mean, we've got goals we're trying to still achieve.
That's right.
And we don't want to have a hiccup in that path.
Right.
Update us really quick, Coach, before we go to the sponsor break. Update us on our health status.
Yeah, we might need to go to sponsor break. It might take a little long. I listed all the names on the board in my office. I think right now we've got 14 that I would consider on injured reserve.
IR.
And and of those 14, 7 are out. We're going to be down 7 guys tomorrow night, and 7 others that.
Questionable.
I don't know if we'll see them or not. So that brings. Okay. I hadn't been smiling a whole lot this week.
Bet you haven't. The 7 that are out, I'm not going to make you give names. I would never do that. I don't want to talk about players like that on air. But can I ask this? And if you don't feel comfortable, just tell me no. Of the 7 that are out, are we looking at more than one game? Or are we looking at possibly they can be back within a game or 2?
No, we've got several that will miss more than 1 week.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Next man up.
That's right. Run what you brung.
Yep.
All right, so what we'll do, we've got the update on the Stuart Kramer game and seeing what they're going to bring in here tomorrow night. JV's getting ready to play here in just a little bit down there at the Stew. And when we come back from the sponsor break, we will do our players of the week. So hold on, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
Time for our Gutter Guys Players of the Week. Coach, we'll do like we always do. We'll start with our offensive players. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I was telling you before we came on, we had so many good performances out of guys that I think it would be wrong not to mention.
Sure.
So I've got some honorable mentions.
Absolutely.
And there's other things we try to share the love. We want all of our guys to know that what they're doing is good. So let me start out by saying that on offense, Zolo did a great job at quarterback. He was 7 for 10 for 111 yards and one touchdown pass. So Zolo did exactly what we wanted him to do at quarterback. Gash, like we talked about, his big play, but he had 3 catches on the night for 74 yards, and he also had a carry for 10. So Jaden Gash did a great job. Kendrick Robert, he ended up with 167 yards with the fake punt, but he had 111 just rushing from running back, and so that was good. Josiah Hill had 73 yards and 2 touchdowns. Good runs. Those touchdown runs were incredible. So all of those guys need to be mentioned. But we're going to go our offensive player of the week with Rodney Unash. He had 2 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown catch that was pretty good.
How about that?
And he's very deserving.
He snatched that one off the rug at one time, didn't he?
Sure did.
I was sitting there watching it, and he picked that thing right off the grass.
Yeah.
So I like it.
He did a great job, and has been doing a great job.
Such a good young man.
Yes, 100%.
I'll tell you, at the Hunter Husk game, his mom walked up to us behind the press box, and she said, "Do you remember what you said about my son at the Cox Mill game?" And I'm not going to lie to you. I can say it on air because I know she's probably watching. My heart sunk a little bit because I thought, oh my gosh, did I say something bad? And I was like, no. And I'm panicking. I'm like, Lord, please don't let me have said something bad. And she said, well, let me give you a hint. And she had on her shirt, how about that? When he scored at the Cox Mill game, I said, how about that? Or one of us did, but I'm pretty sure I did. So now I've made sure every time he does something, I make sure I say that because he's a good player. And that's become one of our monikers. But yeah, I thought he played extremely well. So our Gutter Guys offensive player of the week is Mr. Unash. Very deserving. But as you said, Coach, a lot of good stats offensively.
Yes.
Good plays. So let's go with our Gutter Guys defensive player of the week.
All right. So again, a lot of people talk about Curtis. He had 60 production points, was great. A sack that caused a fumble, which was an awesome play. 4 tackles for loss and ended up with 10 tackles. So that's a great night. Eli Lipscomb, he had 8 tackles, recovered a fumble, a tackle for a loss, and an Alamo tackle. Like we were talking about, he chased somebody down and made a great play. Robert Kendrick, the big hit, that's one of the best hits I've seen in a long time. Zay Smith had 2 big plays, big stops that I thought was good enough to definitely talk about. And then Ja Curry. Against this offense, those big guys up front, they've got a heck of a job to do. I mean, it's tough in there. Ja plays nose guard for us. He ended up with 63 production points. He had 12 tackles. He had a 3rd down stop, a 4th down stop, blocked the kick, and had a tackle for a loss. So Ja did a great job, but this week we're going to go with Thomas Fair as the defensive player of the week, and he had 66 production points, 11 tackles, 3 third down stops, which is huge. He blocked the kick and recovered a fumble. So,
good night.
But you can see if you kept up with what I was saying. I mean, there's 4 guys right there, all of them at the front that their stats are almost the same.
Yes.
But I'm gonna tell you what, if you can get the video, go back and watch Thomas Fair do. He looked like he looked like a Division I college football player. He takes his right arm and sticks it in an offensive lineman's chest with one arm, keeps his other arm free, and just pounds that guy. It's a beautiful play. So when I see stuff like that, he gets a little extra check.
Yeah, you get excited. So, I get it.
Thomas did a great job. They all did. Incredible defensive front.
All right, so Thomas Fair, our Gutter Guys Defensive Player of the Week. And finally, Coach, our Gutter Guys Special Teams Player of the Week.
Yeah, we talked about this before. Also, I think honorable mentions, Matt Rom for his Alamo on the kickoff return, just hitting that guy. That's probably the first time Matt's ever hit anybody. I mean, because he just now started playing football, but he stuck it right there.
He sure did.
He made the guy slow down, and our guys made a tackle. So he did a great job. Max Johnson 4-4 on PATs, which was great. But we're going to stick with Robert Kendrick. He needs to get something, and for the fake punt that went 56 yards and basically sealed the game.
Yes, it did. That was huge. So Robert Kendrick, all good honorable mentions, and then of course Robert Kendrick, our Gutter Guys Special Teams Player of the Week.
Yes.
Great choices. All right, Coach, segment 4, we always do an Ask the Coach question. So we got a question from Michael Crocker this week. I thought was a good one. He says, do you perform film study with the team? And if so, how much?
All right, so our coaches do a great job. So on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So if you're around the school, everybody's probably expecting, as soon as school's out, you're expecting to see the players run down, get dressed, and get on the field. You won't see our guys do that. Our guys are going to come as soon as they get. Most of them are in the weight room. When they finish lifting weights, they go into the field house. Offense goes into the meeting room, defense goes in the auxiliary room, and we watch at least 15 minutes of film. Sometimes it'll be even longer. Mm-hmm. Coach Bolton he's gotten into it so deep now that he likes to he separates. So now we're doing 20 minutes of video so that he can watch 10 minutes of video with the skill guys, receivers, quarterbacks, and running backs, and then he watches another 10 with just the offensive linemen. So he's got all of those players and those position coaches, and then he has the offensive line with Coach Cruz, and they watch. So that's 20 minutes of film every day, and then of course the defense is doing the exact same thing, except Coach Carroll has them all in there and they watch it. That's a great question. I can promise you there's a lot of schools out there that their kids never see a video. No. And these coaches do an incredible job with it. So it's about, that equals out. It's about an hour's worth of video watching a week. And seeing that's why we usually do, our Wednesdays are a really, really light day. We'll go out on Wednesdays in just helmets. And we watch a lot of film on that day because most of the time we have video of us that we've taken of us practicing Monday and Tuesday so that we can show them on Wednesday and make corrections. And so they're watching the opponent's teams, they're watching themselves at practice. We watch a lot of video.
I'll tell you, Coach, you talked about teams not doing it to that level. Part of that, I think, is huddle. Yes. And here's what I mean. Huddle is convenient, and huddle is fantastic, and huddle will do a lot of things for you. But I think huddle can also make coaches lazy, and they'll say, all right, guys, make sure you watch the film.
And see, huddle has a little counter on there. It'll tell you how long a kid has watched it.
That's right.
But they can turn that thing on and let it roll, and they can go
do whatever.
Yeah. And so, I don't trust that. No. Plus, I mean, how many high school kids can sit down and watch video and study it and actually get something out of it? They're not going to. You got to have a coach that's there helping them.
I agree with that.
Our guys do a great job with it.
So that's a great question. Thank you, Michael, for that one. Coach, I know you got to get out of here as you're trying to get down to the game. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.
Let's get another big win. Hopefully get one tonight too. And
that's right.
Enjoy your first homecoming at Kings Mountain.
Sounds great.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, see you tomorrow. Y'all. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back after a sponsor break.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home.
Welcome back, fans. Let's talk about some issues, not issues, that's the wrong word. Let's talk about some events going on at Kings Mountain this week. Drew's got a graphic we'll put up for us and go over that with the calendar. Maybe, he said, maybe, not necessarily. True. Look at my collar. Coach slid out of there. See you, Coach. So today, the 11th, our men's soccer team is out there playing right now. They're playing Hunter Huss. JV football is now getting ready to kick off down at Stuart Cramer. And you'll be able to go see that maybe if you want to dip out after the show and go see it. Maybe you're already down there and watch the show afterwards. Tomorrow, we're having a homecoming parade at 3:30. Drew, tell me again what the path was.
Next graphic.
Oh, it's the next graphic. Never mind. The varsity football game versus Stuart Kramer kickoff is at 7:30. Friday, there are no events. We will be on air tomorrow night, by the way, and broadcasting. Monday the 9th, women's golf is at Lincoln Country Club, starting at probably 2 o'clock. Volleyball is at home against South Point, 4:30 and 6 p.m. Men's soccer is at home versus North Gaston. Tuesday the 10th, cross country is at Ashbrook. That's the Big South meet. And volleyball will host the Chargers at 4:30 and 6. We also want to talk about, you going to go with the, there it is, never mind. Why don't I just let things play? I'm just forcing the issue, I apologize. Ticket Spigots, where you can get your game tickets. If you would like to buy those ahead of time. Remember, the game has been moved to tomorrow. The homecoming parade starts at 3:30. It will go down Mountain Street to South Rail Road. Gates will open tomorrow at 6. Game time's at 7:30. We'll be on air by 6:45 if you want to listen and follow us there. Please remember the new parking rules. The road is closed beside the old field house. If you're going to drop someone off, that has to be done in front of the school, and you've got to have a parking pass to park on the home side. I apologize. Broadcast starts at 6:30, not 6:45. I should just read before I guess.
Homecoming stuff. So.
Thank you. Drew, like I said, homecoming stuff. And we're also going to show all the homecoming activities. You'll be able to hear them. Drew, are they going to be able to hear you as you're announcing it? Yes, Drew is, because Drew's got a wonderful voice and does a great job announcing, and Jay does too, but Drew's going to do homecoming for us. And you'll be able to hear that as we go tomorrow night. That is the info about tomorrow night's game. Let's also talk about the class of 1983. This is their big reunion week. So welcome back to them. You can see their record there at the bottom. Great team. Man, those uniforms are classic. Look at those things. There with Coach Hicks. And there's the record. That team, hopefully those young men will, I'm going to call them young men, yes. Hopefully those young men will be back, and maybe other people than just besides the football players, their spouses and families. Their reunion is this weekend, I think is what we're saying, Drew. Yes, there we go. We also want, go ahead.
They beat South Point too.
They beat South Point too. I see that, 14-8. How about that? That's back in the old conference. I remember that conference. I was a kid back then. I was
Southwestern 3A.
The Southwestern 3A. That's exactly right. I was 10 years old. Man, I'm old. Welcome back, class of 83. We also want to do a promotion, and remember, for the Scouting for Food at the Crest game. The Boy Scouts of America, Troop 92, said they're going to collect food. You want to bring non-perishable items to the Kings Mountain Crest game on October the 27th. That's in 2 weeks. They are collecting canned goods and non-perishable items at both the home and visitors gates. So let's please help Scout Troop 92 raise food for our community and beyond. So please bring something to that game to donate to the great cause that is. As we always do, we want to tell you about subscribing to our YouTube channel, which is where you're watching this, and we'll watch the game tomorrow or then afterwards over the weekend in a replay. So please subscribe and like our YouTube channel. We really love that you would do that, and we know that it helps us with being able to stay on the air because we have a lot of fans. The other thing I'd tell you to do is also please join the Touchdown Club. Why have you not joined yet? I tell you every week to join the Touchdown Club. But in all seriousness, remember, they are for everything Mountaineer. They are all Mountaineer, whether it be academics, athletics, the community, what have you. The Mountaineer family is supported tremendously well by our Touchdown Club. Please join. If you want to do that, go to kmtouchdownclub.com. look at them on Facebook or talk to one of us. David is usually up behind the press box before the game selling programs or other things. You can talk to him as well. Please come to the game tomorrow night if you can. We want to have a big crowd. It is a homecoming crowd. Pray that we have good weather. We also want you to stay around. I mean, we have some people that will come to homecoming and then maybe want to think about leaving at halftime. Don't. Watch the whole game and let's have some good times tomorrow night before we close out the week, and pray that you'll be with us and have good weather. So, Drew, we got anything else? That's all. So we appreciate you being with us. Thank you for being with us earlier tonight. And let's get a good win this coming week, tomorrow, I should say, against the Storm from Stuart Cramer. Have a blessed rest of your week, a great weekend, and we'll see you next week on Mountaineer Football Tonight. Take care and be blessed.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,